Hey guys, it's me. I'm doing my book talk here on An Abundance of Katherines, and it's by John Green. John Green had a part in writing Will Grayson, Will Grayson that we read at the very beginning of the synopsis, so it's kind of interesting to see the similarities between that book and this one. I'm going to start off with the characters. Our first character is Colin Singleton. Colin has been dumped 19 times by Katherines. And that's what the whole book is talking about. He was a child prodigy when he was younger, and when he grew up, he's 17 now in the book. He doesn't think that his life has amounted to anything because child prodigies are supposed to turn into these geniuses, and he hasn't had his eureka moment yet, and so he doesn't think he's amounting to anything. And that upsets him, as well as the whole Katherine dumping him thing and everything. So from there, he decides that he's going to make a mathematical solution on how to help all future dumpies figure out how to avoid being dumped, and that's supposed to be his eureka moment. So that's Colin for you. The next character is Haas. Haas is Colin's best friend and only friend. Haas is our comedic character in the book. He's our comedic character. He brings Colin back down to earth. Colin is kind of this guy that's a little bit too smart for his own good, being a child prodigy and all. And he doesn't really know how to talk to people. It's kind of socially awkward, and Haas is the guy that helps them bring it back down and helps them to be able to talk to people and everything. So it's kind of funny to see the two of them together. Then we have Lindsay Lee. Lindsay Lee we meet in Gutshot, Tennessee, and she works in the convenience store there. She's a tour guide, and she's a paramedic in training. And her mother is Hollis. Hollis owns the factory and Gutshot that produces tampon strings, and the town is, supposed to thrive on this factory. And so, like I said, we meet Lindsay. Lindsay takes them on the tour guide that sparks the whole eureka moment for Colin, and she ends up being a really good friend of theirs. Lindsay is dating a guy named Colin as well, and the guys call him TOC in the book, the other Colin, and the other Colin is basically your average jock, kind of a jerky kind of guy, and ends up cheating on her, which is unfortunate. And he actually ends up cheating on her with Katrina, who we meet is Son's girlfriend that he makes in Gutshot. And so that was the whole little thing in the book. And those are basically our main characters right there. So summary is basically about Colin. He graduates high school, and he's a valedictorian, and it should be a happy time, but he actually ends up getting dumped by Catherine the 19th right after graduation. And so then he's in his room moping around all day, and Haas comes over and tells him that they're going to go on a road trip. So they go on a road trip and end up in this place called Gutshot, Tennessee. And the reason they ended up there is because when they were driving on the highway, they saw a sign that said Archduke Franz Ferdinand is buried in Gutshot, Tennessee, and then you go see the resting place of him. So that's why they end up there. And Gutshot, Tennessee is this little small 800 people in the town, kind of little town. They're used to being in Chicago where they're from, so it was a little shock to them. And that's where they meet Lindsay, and she's in the convenience store, and Lindsay happens to be the tour guide as well. And so Lindsay takes them out to see the gravesite of the Archduke. And while they're visiting the grave, Colin trips and falls on something and hits his head. And when he comes to, he has this eureka moment, and that's when he thinks of this whole mathematical solution and how he can help all future dumpies everywhere so they won't be hurt and dumped like he was, and they'll be able to figure it out before they actually get themselves into a relationship. And that's the eureka moment. So the book is just talking about how he's figuring out this mathematical solution, how he's struggling with it, and all that. Meanwhile, Haas does end up getting a girlfriend, and Haas's girlfriend is Katrina. And later on in the book, while they're learning how to hunt, Katrina and TOC, the other Colin, who is Lindsay's boyfriend, end up having sex right by the Archduke's grave. And Haas and Colin see this and confront TOC about it, and TOC tells them not to tell Lindsay and not say a word about it. Well, Colin turns to Haas and tells him to record it in Arabic so that TOC won't know what he's saying, and Haas does. Now when Lindsay comes over, Haas plays it so that Lindsay will hear what TOC said. And so they end up breaking up, and Colin and Haas get the crap beat out of them by TOC and his friends for doing that to him. So that's what happened there, and then I don't want to give away too much at the end, but I will say that Colin does figure out what his life has amounted to, what the meaning of his life is, and whether or not that involves the mathematical solution is up to you to read. So happy reading. Like I said, this is by John Green, and it's told from the author's point of view, so not from like Colin's or Haas's or anything like that. It's just the author's point of view, and the book is like a comedic kind of a tone to it. It could be depressing because Colin is upset over the Catherine and everything, but John Green didn't write it to be depressing. He wrote it in a very comedic way. So it was a nice little thing right there. And my quote is from page 31, and this is kind of to show like the comedic side of Colin and Haas together, and this is when they're in Scottshat, Tennessee. And so here it goes. Colin pulled into the store's gravel driveway. Unbuckling his seatbelt, he said to Hassan, "I wonder if they keep the Archduke with the soda or the bait." Hassan's deep laugh filled the car. "Shit," Colin made it funny. "This place is like magic for you. Shame about how we're gonna die here, though. I mean, seriously, an Arab and a half-Jew went to our store in Tennessee. It's the beginning of a joke, and the punchline is sodomy." Nonetheless, Colin heard Hassan shuffling his feet on the gravel parking lot behind him. So it was, like I said, it was just kind of showing the humor of the book very well. That's a very good passage right there to show the humor of the book, and how Hassan and Colin like complement each other as characters. So that's really nice.